When Michael Jordan performed a full-court sprint dunk to save a game against the Atlanta Hawks in 1989, it wasn't just basketball. It was a moment that felt otherworldly. One time, a rookie Jason Kidd asked his veteran teammates what it was like to guard MJ. They simply replied, "You don't guard him, you survive him." Michael Jordan wasn't just a basketball player. He was a force of nature, living in human form. And today, we're gonna prove it.
The foul on Alan Ogg. That is vintage Jordan super stuff. I'll tell you,
Michael Jordan wasn't just a basketball player. He was a master tactician who understood the game on every level, physical, mental, and even psychological. One of the most remarkable ways he gained an edge over his opponents was through his relationship with referees, a method so clever it was dubbed the Jordan effect. Before games, while most players focused solely on warming up, Jordan worked his charm on the officials. He didn't just say a casual hello, he knew their names, their families, and even their kids' hobbies. Imagine being a ref, and MJ walks over saying, "Hey Steve, how's Bobby doing?" Still playing point guard in middle school. Tell him he's doing better than I was at that age. I got cut from my junior high team, you know? Now, think about the subtle psychology of that interaction. That referee leaves the court with a story to tell his son. One that ends with, "Michael Jordan told me to tell you this." Later in the game, who's more likely to get the benefit of the doubt? The player cursing at the refs, or the one who treated them like a friend? Jordan wasn't just playing basketball, he was playing chess. This wasn't manipulation for manipulation's sake. It was strategy, pure and simple. A way to tip the scales in his favor before the first whistle even blew. No regular human would think to win over the officials like that. But Jordan wasn't just any player. His cunning nature extended beyond the court, redefining what it meant to dominate the game. Speaking of cunning, Jordan's brilliance wasn't confined to charming referees. It extended to how he dealt with challengers who dared to step into his world. Let's dive into a tale that shows just how dangerous it was to poke the bear. At 50 years old, Michael Jordan was not just defying the expectations of age, he was rewriting them. One day, while overseeing the Charlotte Bobcats, which he owned at the time, Jordan found himself challenged by a young Michael "Kid" Gilchrist, who was fresh out of college and had just been drafted second overall in the 2012 NBA draft. Boldly asked the GOAT for a game of one-on-one. MJ accepted, and what followed would become the stuff of legend. Despite being 31 years older and long removed from his playing days, Jordan put on a clinic. According to Kid Gilchrist himself, he got thoroughly outplayed by the then 50-year-old, who still moved, shot, and defended, like it was 1993. "I lost to a 50-year-old guy," Kid Gilchrist admitted, laughing but humbled. Since there's no footage of this iconic matchup, Kid Gilchrist's own words are all we have, and they paint a vivid picture of Jordan's inhuman dominance. The context makes this story even more remarkable. Kid Gilchrist was known as a versatile defender with tremendous upside. Yet despite his youth and athleticism, he was no match for Jordan's ageless skill set. Even if MGK's professional career never fully lived up to his lofty draft position. It wasn't just a game of basketball, it was a demonstration of something almost otherworldly. How could a man in his 50s dominate a young, athletic player in his prime? Moments like these are why stories about Michael Jordan seem to transcend the realm of what's humanly possible. And if that wasn't enough, this wasn't an isolated event. Michael Jordan's ability to defy expectations only grows more unbelievable when you hear what happened at Chris Paul's summer basketball camp. When it comes to legendary basketball stories, few are as peculiar as the tale of Bradford Smith, a name that probably doesn't ring a bell for most fans. Smith was a journeyman player with a modest NBA career, averaging just 6.7 points per game over 4 seasons. But on March 19, 1993, he had the game of his life, dropping a stunning 37 points against Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. He shot an astonishing 75% from the field and went a perfect 7 for 7 from the free throw line. It was the kind of performance that players dream of, and it put Smith on Jordan's radar, but for all the wrong reasons. The story goes that after the game, Smith walked up to Jordan and said, "Good game, Mike." Whether this happened or not is irrelevant because, in Jordan's mind, it was all he needed to hear. The comment ignited something inside him. Years later, MJ revealed that Smith never actually said anything, admitting he made it all up. to create the motivation he needed. The very next night, the Bulls faced the same Washington Bullets team in Chicago, and MJ wasted no time in exacting his revenge. In just the first half, Jordan scored 36 points, matching Smith's total from the previous game. By the end, he had 47 points, and the Bulls cruised to a lopsided 126-101 victory. Smith, meanwhile, managed just 15 points in the rematch, fading back into obscurity. Jordan's ability to invent slights and use them as fuel is something almost inhuman. Who else could conjure up imaginary trash talk and turn it into a career-defining performance? It's a perfect example of his relentless competitiveness and the mental games he played, not just with his opponents, but with himself. Only Michael Jordan could take an ordinary moment and transform it into a career-defining statement. But as we'll see next, his unyielding competitive spirit often extended beyond the court, sometimes in the most unpredictable ways. When Michael Jordan decided to step away from basketball in 1993 to pursue his baseball dreams, he likely thought he'd leave the rivalries of the NBA behind. But then came Byron Russell, a rookie at the time, who couldn't resist taunting his airness during a casual encounter. According to Jordan, the moment went something like this: "Man, why'd you quit? You knew I could guard you." Jordan didn't respond at the moment, but those words stuck. For MJ, it didn't matter if you were a bench warmer, an all-star, or a rookie just starting out. Any challenge was personal. Years later, Jordan confessed, "From that point on, he was on my list." Fast forward to the 1998 NBA Finals. With the series tied 2-2, the Chicago Bulls were facing the Utah Jazz in Game 6. As the clock ticked down, MJ found himself face-to-face with Russell, the very same player who dared to challenge him during his baseball hiatus. In what would become one of the most iconic moments in sports history, Jordan used his infamous crossover to create space and then sank the game-winning jumper to secure his 6th championship. It wasn't just about the championship, it was about crossing a name off his mental list. A rookie's offhand remark became a defining moment in NBA history, cementing Jordan's legacy as the ultimate competitor who never forgot a slight, no matter how small. Jordan's time off from basketball wasn't just about baseball. It was about chasing challenges on every level, and in one case, the Oakland A's wanted him to skip the grind entirely and jump straight to the big leagues. While Byron Russell made his now infamous remark during Michael Jordan's first retirement, MJ was busy taking on an entirely different challenge. Baseball was his new arena, and even though his time with the Chicago White Sox organization may seem like a footnote in his legacy, the opportunities it brought were anything but ordinary. Among the most jaw-dropping moments of this chapter was the Oakland A's bold offer to skip the grind of the minors altogether. Sandy Alderson, the A's general manager, put it plainly: "I'll sign him and put him on the major league roster tomorrow." It was an unprecedented move, and for anyone else, it would have been an instant yes. But Jordan wasn't built like anyone else. Even after stepping away from the NBA spotlight, he refused to take an easy path. Jordan turned the offer down, choosing instead to earn his place in the game, just as he had with basketball. For him, there was no glory in shortcuts, only in proving he belonged. Jordan had a way of making the impossible look routine, even when it involved playing 36 holes of golf, downing beers, and then casually dropping 50 points in a playoff game. Imagine this. It's a playoff game night, and most players would be at the arena hours early, running drills or mentally locking in. Not Michael Jordan. Hours before suiting up, MJ was on the golf course, not just playing a casual round, but completing 36 holes. To top it off, he was reportedly downing beers between swings. Now, for most athletes, this sounds like a recipe for disaster. But this wasn't just any athlete. This was Michael Jordan. That evening, the Bulls faced off against the Cleveland Cavaliers, and during the game, MJ made a bet with his golfing buddy and former Chicago Blackhawks star, Jeremy Roenick. Roenick jokingly taunted Jordan about his afternoon antics, betting that Cleveland would win.
I'll bet you that we win by 20 points and I have more than 40. I'm like, done. Son of a gun goes out, scores 52, and they win by 26 or something after 18 holes of golf. And
36 holes of golf.
36 holes of golf and having like maybe 10 Bud Lights.
Stop.
The man, Michael Jordan, to me, is probably the best athlete that I've ever seen.
MJ responded with his signature confidence, wagering that not only would the Bulls win by 20 points, but that he'd drop over 40 points in the process. What happened next is the stuff of legend. MJ delivered on both counts. The Bulls annihilated the Cavs, and Jordan scored an astonishing 52 points, making his promise seem less like a boast and more like a prophecy. All of this came after an afternoon of beers and golf, a testament to his unparalleled physical and mental resilience. It's one thing to dominate while fully rested and prepared, but to crush opponents after a day of indulgence? That's not just talent, it's otherworldly. And if this story doesn't convince you MJ was built differently, what he did at Chris Paul's basketball camp will. Michael Jordan's legendary competitiveness didn't fade with age, not even in the most lighthearted settings. In 2016, when MJ was 53 years old, he attended Chris Paul's summer basketball camp. The camp was packed with excited kids, eager for the chance to see the GOAT in action. But what unfolded next would leave them speechless and shoeless. Chris Paul, knowing MJ's reputation, decided to challenge him to a friendly game of around the world. The stakes? If Jordan missed just 3 shots, every single kid at the camp would receive a free pair of Air Jordans. The kids roared in excitement, practically tasting the fresh sneakers they'd soon be wearing. But here's the thing about MJ, he doesn't lose. Not in the NBA, not on the golf course, and certainly not at a camp shooting challenge. Shot after shot, MJ landed every single attempt with precision, proving that even at 53, his skills remained razor sharp. The kids watched in awe as the basketball legend refused to miss, despite their hopes for some new kicks. In the end, Jordan walked away victorious, leaving the camp full of empty-handed but starstruck kids. His message was clear. Even in the smallest, most playful moments, greatness doesn't take a day off. Jordan's fierce competitiveness extended far beyond a simple camp challenge. It was this relentless drive that pushed him to deliver one of the most jaw-dropping performances in NBA history, scoring 63 points against the Boston Celtics in a playoff game. Let's take a look at the game that made the basketball world collectively gasp in disbelief. On April 20th, 1986, Jordan stepped into the Boston Garden and delivered one of the most unforgettable performances in NBA history, scoring 63 points against a team featuring Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish wasn't just impressive, it was superhuman. The Celtics were known for their suffocating defense, yet no matter what they threw at MJ, he broke through. By halftime, Jordan had already dropped 30, leaving the Celtics scrambling for answers. The game would go into double overtime, with Jordan playing 53 minutes, yet his energy never wavered. He attacked relentlessly, showcasing an array of jump shots, drives, and free throws that left Boston stunned. By the time the final buzzer sounded, Jordan's 63 points had set a playoff record, a mark that still stands to this day. But it wasn't just the stat sheet that made this performance legendary. It was the way the Celtics themselves reacted. Larry Bird, never one to dole out compliments easily, said after the game, "I think he's God disguised as Michael Jordan." Coming from one of the greatest to ever play the game, that quote cemented MJ's performance as more than just a game. It was a revelation. What made this performance so incredible wasn't just the points he scored, but the message it sent. Michael Jordan wasn't just a young player with potential. He was a force that even the best team in the league couldn't contain. Jordan's 63-point game was a moment that left everyone, fans, players, and legends alike, in awe. But what made this game even more special was the rivalry it helped build between MJ and Larry Bird. A rivalry that deserves a deeper dive. If you want to see how Bird himself delivered performances that rivaled Jordan's greatness, check out my last video, Why Larry Bird Proved He Was Better Than MJ. And remember, when it comes to Michael Jordan, stories like these are why we say he wasn't human. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more.